Welcome to Ace My Exams Learning. We are excited to have you here. Our channel is dedicated to providing you with the best study tools and resources to help you ace your exams. Let us get started with today's learning.
What is communication? Communication is a two-way process involving the exchange of information, ideas, feelings, or opinions between individuals or groups. The information or message is sent from one person, referred to as the sender, through a channel to another person called the receiver. The receiver reacts to the message by providing feedback. In summary, 1. Communication is a two-way process. 2. It involves the exchange of information. 3. It takes place between two or more participants. 4. The originator of the information or message is the sender. 5. The message is sent to the receiver, who reacts to the message by sending feedback. 6. A channel is used to transfer messages between the sender and receiver. Communication process. The communication process is the step-by-step sequence of events that takes place when one person, the sender, sends a message to convey information to another person, the receiver. When two people communicate, there is a continuous flow of information. Messages move back and forth between the two people. As one person speaks, the other listens. The listener then responds by providing feedback in the form of a message while the speaker listens. The listener then becomes the speaker, and the process repeats. Let's look at this illustration of the communication process and its elements. The communication process begins with a sender or source, who initiates communication by generating an idea or message to be conveyed to others. The sender then encodes or translates the idea into a message. This involves selecting words, symbols, or other forms of communication to express the intended meaning effectively. The encoded message is the actual content that the sender wishes to communicate. It could be verbal, written, non-verbal, or a combination of these forms. The message is then transmitted through a chosen communication channel, such as face-to-face conversation, written documents, electronic media, or any other medium. The message reaches the receiver or audience, who interprets and decodes the information to understand its meaning. The receiver decodes the message by interpreting the symbols, words, or gestures used by the sender. Effective communication relies on the shared understanding of these symbols. After decoding the message, the receiver provides feedback to the sender. This feedback can be verbal or non-verbal and indicates how well the message was understood. Feedback also allows the sender to make adjustments if necessary. During this process, there may be interference called noise or external factors that distort or disrupt the message, thus hindering the effective transfer of information between a sender and a receiver. Elements of the communication process. 1. The sender. The beginning of the communication process involves the sender, who formulates the message he or she plans to send to another person or group of people. This can be an idea, information, or expression of feelings, emotions, or thoughts the sender wants to relay to the receiver. Thereafter, the sender formulates thoughts into a message using a code or language the receiver can understand. This is referred to as encoding. By doing so, the sender can convert their thoughts, ideas, or emotions into a format that can be transmitted and recognized by the receiver. For example, using spoken communication, the sender will choose words, tone, and language to use. For written communication, the sender will structure the message into sentences and paragraphs. 2. The message. The message is the information the sender wants to communicate, using spoken or written words, images, gestures, or other forms of expression. The sender's aim here is to craft a message that can effectively convey meaning. It's important for the sender to define the purpose of the message, construct each message with the receiver in mind, select the best medium, time each transmission thoughtfully, and seek feedback. 3. The channel. The sender chooses the preferred way to transmit the message to the receiver. The choice of channel depends on the context and the desired impact of the message. This could be verbal channels such as voice, intercom, telephone, interview, meeting, fax, or non-verbal channels like body language, pictures, music, or graphs. 4. The receiver. The receiver is the person to whom the message is directed or the intended recipient of the message. The sender needs to send a message. A receiver can decode or interpret its words, images, or signals to enable effective communication to take place. 5. Decoding. Next is decoding, which is the interpretation of the message by the receiver. It involves translating the encoded information from the sender, that is the language, pictures, and signs, back into meaningful thoughts, ideas, or emotions to enable the receiver to understand the message. 6. Feedback. After decoding the message and understanding the content, the receiver reverts to the sender by way of feedback. Feedback is the response or reaction given by the receiver to the sender's message. It indicates whether the message was understood as intended and whether the communication was successful. Feedback can be verbal or non-verbal, such as nods, smiles, questions, or comments. The receiver's interpretation, understanding, and response to the message allows the sender to gauge the effectiveness of their communication and make adjustments if necessary. 7. Noise. Noise, also known as communication barrier or interference, can impede successful communication. It includes anything that hinders the communication flow or causes a breakdown, preventing the intended message from reaching the receiver. Examples of noise. 1. Physical noise. This includes external factors such as loud sounds, music, or other environmental disturbances that make it difficult for the parties involved to hear or focus on the message. For instance, a construction site near a meeting room might introduce physical noise. 2. Semantic noise. Semantic noise arises when there are misunderstandings due to differences in language, interpretation, or meaning of words. For example, using technical jargon in a conversation with someone unfamiliar with the terminology can lead to semantic noise. 3. Psychological noise. Psychological noise occurs within the minds of the communicators and can be caused by factors such as stress, preoccupation, or strong emotions. For example, if someone is stressed about a personal issue, they may find it challenging to fully grasp or respond to a message. Categories of communication. The nature of communication depends on the number of individuals involved, leading to 4 distinct categories of communication. 1. Intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is an individual's communication with oneself. This internal dialogue occurs when we contemplate thoughts or engage in subconscious self-talk. For example, contemplating decisions and evaluating choices. Like debating in your mind what to wear today to a party. Daydreaming. Reflecting on experiences. Recording thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a personal diary or journal. 2. Interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is communication between people, occurring between 2 individuals, within a group, or among different groups. Interpersonal communication occurs in diverse settings and contexts such as conversation between colleagues during day-to-day activities, formal meeting discussions, job interview communication between an interviewer and an applicant, formal meeting discussions such as formal meetings, wage negotiations between a company and a union, presenting a speech or chairing a meeting. 3. Extrapersonal communication. Extrapersonal communication extends beyond human-to-human interactions to include communication with non-human entities. It involves communicating with animals, objects, or plants, such as engaging in dialogue or expressing thoughts towards animals, inanimate objects, or plants. For example, talking to plants or expressing frustration at a slow computer. 4. Mass communication. Mass communication is a form of communication that occurs between a sender and a large audience who are not personally known to each other. The message is disseminated via mass media channels such as television, radio, film, newspapers, magazines, books, and computers. These platforms enable the dissemination of information to a wide audience simultaneously, and each person receiving the same message will interpret the message individually. Examples include advertisements about products, or public announcements published in newspapers, or broadcast on television. Difference between mass communication and interpersonal communication. 1. Sender. In mass communication, the sender is usually a faceless spokesperson of a huge organization, such as a political reporter of a newspaper. This sender has indirect contact with the intended receiver, or target audience, and has no guarantee that the message will reach them. In interpersonal communication, the sender is an individual expressing his own opinion, or that of the group he represents. This sender is usually directly known to the receivers, and is reasonably sure that his message will reach them. 2. The message in mass communication is typically a deliberate, mass-oriented utterance. It is aimed at providing specific information, or persuading the intended receivers, target audience, to adopt a specific point of view. In interpersonal communication, the message is usually deliberate, and is aimed at informing or persuading a specific individual, or group of individuals. 3. Mass communication involves a channel that usually includes sophisticated technology and complicated, indirect means of distribution. This channel is subject to many physical factors that could distort the message. Interpersonal communication involves a channel that either is direct, face-to-face, or indirect transmission, e.g., telephone or letter. 4. Feedback in mass communication is indirect and delayed. Feedback in interpersonal communication can be direct or indirect, immediate or delayed, and can be verbal or nonverbal. Verbal communication. Verbal communication involves the use of words in various forms, including speaking, writing, reading, and listening. It can be oral or written. Oral communication. Oral communication is the use of spoken words to convey information or messages, and can take various forms such as face-to-face interactions, meetings, interviews, group discussions, presentations, and telephone conversations. Oral communication can be direct or indirect. Direct oral communication is a face-to-face interaction with 1 to 5 individuals. This form of communication happens in meetings, interviews, group discussions, and client receptions. It includes giving and listening to instructions, explaining problems to superiors, dealing with visitors, and marketing products or ideas. Indirect oral communication is used in telephone conversations and public addresses. This form of communication does not involve continuous eye contact between the sender and the receiver. Written communication. Written communication can also be direct or indirect. Direct written communication is effectively utilized in various business documents such as letters, memos, faxes, notices, agendas, and reports to communicate to individual recipients. On the other hand, indirect written communication involves mediums such as newspaper reports, press releases, and advertisements. These written forms of communication are used to address the broader audience of the general public. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication involves conveying messages without using words, such as using facial expressions, gestures, sign language, or objects to communicate. Different types of nonverbal communication, also known as semiology, can be identified as outlined below. 1. Visual semiology. Visual semiology involves communication through visual cues that need to be seen by the receiver. This includes body movements, graphs, or appearance. The effectiveness of visual nonverbal communication relies on the receiver's ability to see. 2. Kinesics. Kinesics involves the study of body movements as a form of nonverbal communication, using gestures, facial expressions, and posture. Here are some key elements of kinesics. Facial expression. The face communicates various emotions and attitudes. For instance, A smile often indicates a welcoming demeanor or approval of an idea. Conversely, a frown may signal a lack of understanding or discontent with a decision. Gestures. Actions like loosening a tie can signify nervousness or suggest a need to relax. On the other hand, rolling up sleeves might convey a readiness to engage or a signal to get down to work. Finger drumming is a gesture that often reflects impatience or tension. Posture. Body posture can reveal a person's state of mind. Resting one's head on their arm may indicate boredom, disinterest, or fatigue. Dropping shoulders is a nonverbal expression associated with feelings of discouragement, lack of motivation, disappointment, or pessimism. 3. Proxemics. Proxemics is the study of distance, contact and space in human communication. The effective use of space plays a pivotal role in shaping communication, particularly in client or employee interactions. Our surrounding space can be categorized into 4 zones, namely: the intimate zone. This zone is within half a meter between the sender and receiver. In African cultures, the intimate zone is comfortably utilized by strangers and business associates to engage in conversation. However, in many other cultures, this zone is exclusively reserved for moments of intimacy among lovers, close friends, and family members. The personal zone. This zone ranges from half a meter to 1 meter in distance. It is utilized to maintain space between individuals and to avoid discomfort and potential conflict in the workspace. Social zone. It represents the distance between 1 and 2 meters between the sender and receiver. This distance is often observed between individuals in office settings. In addition, office furniture is arranged to maintain this social zone and ensure a comfortable distance between colleagues. The public zone. The public zone represents a distance of more than 3 meters between the sender and receiver. This zone is typically observed in situations involving larger groups such as public speaking or when addressing large audiences. Graphic representations. In the dynamic business world, information is frequently communicated through a variety of visual elements, including symbols, graphic signs, illustrations, graphs, and distinct lettering styles. Business professionals encounter these graphic representations regularly in reports, newspapers, and magazines. The ability to identify and interpret this visual data helps businesses to develop ideas, make informed decisions, and plan strategically. Symbols. Companies employ unique logos to convey their corporate identity. These symbols serve as visual representations of the company's values, brand image, and overall identity. Graphic signs. Graphic signs play a crucial role in conveying information globally without the need for additional explanations. Examples include universally recognized symbols such as no smoking signs, restroom indicators, information desks, lifts, stairs, or fire escape signs. Illustrations. Maps and diagrams are widely used to provide clarity in various contexts, whether depicting a residential area, internal company layout, or showcasing a product. Lettering. The strategic use of bold or italic lettering is employed to draw attention and emphasize key points. Color coding. Color can be used as a dynamic element in communication to convey specific information in the following ways. In modern offices, color coding is a practical strategy for organizing files efficiently. The color scheme in an office also contributes to the company's image and creates a distinct atmosphere to evoke various impressions. Color can also be used to create an inclusive and accessible environment. For example, meeting rooms may be marked with blue signage, break areas with green, and restrooms with red. This enables staff members or clients with limited literacy skills to easily identify and navigate to the desired location based on the assigned colors. Beyond offices, colors play functional roles, such as indicating temperatures on weather maps or different parts of a machine. Acoustic semiology. Acoustic semiology refers to communication that uses sounds or signals other than words, such as music or accent. Acoustic semiology allows individuals to convey meaning and emotion beyond the limitations of language. While words are certainly powerful, they are not always enough to fully express our thoughts and feelings. The receiver of these messages must be able to hear and interpret them accurately. Paralinguistics. The use of voice qualities like tone, pace, rhythm, and accent to add meaning to the sender's words is called paralinguistics. For example, we use a specific tone to convey sarcasm. Paralinguistics includes the following elements. Pitch. Pitch in paralinguistics refers to the highness or lowness of a person's voice. It plays a significant role in conveying emotions and attitudes. A high pitch is often associated with excitement, fear, or nervousness, while a low pitch may suggest self-confidence, calmness, or seriousness. Tempo and rhythm. Tempo and rhythm refer to the speed and pattern of speech. The pace at which words are spoken contributes to the overall effectiveness of communication. Varying pace and rhythm while speaking increases engagement and enthusiasm, while a slow and monotonous speaking style can be perceived as dull. Intensity. Intensity in communication refers to the emotional force or strength behind the sender's words. It influences the impact of a message, and different situations may require varying levels of intensity. For example, a teacher providing constructive feedback to a student, a team leader motivating colleagues, or a customer service representative addressing a customer complaint would each require distinct intensities corresponding to the emotional dynamics involved. Accent. Articulation and pronunciation provide insight into a person's regional or social background. Regional accents may reveal where a person grew up or was educated, while foreign accents may create communication issues in business, especially between buyers and sellers. Filler sounds. Filler sounds, such as like, you know, and all right, are often utilized by speakers during communication. These meaningless sounds, known as hesitation markers or pause fillers, can convey nervousness, uncertainty, or a lack of knowledge. However, when used correctly, a pause could make you sound more important or lend weight to what you are going to say next. Music. Music can convey a certain message and shape the atmosphere. Slow, soft, and soothing music can create a calm, peaceful, and relaxed atmosphere, while music with a faster tempo creates an atmosphere of excitement and activity. For example, Christmas carols in a supermarket remind shoppers to do their Christmas shopping.
Thank you for watching this video. Remember to subscribe and be the first to know when we upload new videos.